Let's look at some hints and tips when making biological records using the LERC Wales app and BIS Wired. Here's a quick summary. The Local Environmental Record Centre app is for smartphone recording. It's for making biological records in Wales. It is part of the iRecord family and uses the same login. BIS Wired is our wildlife recording database, and that's for making online recordings of wildlife sightings in Powys and the Brecon Beacons National Park. And it can be linked to the LERC Wales app using the same registration email address when you first set it up. And it's for making and editing biological records. All biological records help put wildlife on the map, so they're all good. And all three here, LERC Wales, iRecord and BIS Wired, all end up with us, all end up in the same place, so there's no benefit to using one over the other. The LERC Wales app is an iRecord app, and the only real difference is that the LERC Wales app is fully bilingual and you can use it in the Welsh language, and that includes the Welsh Species Dictionary of Common Names. Just to remind you that to make a valid biological record, you need these 4 pieces of information: what you've seen, where you saw it, when, and who you are as the recorder. So here's the LERC Wales app home screen. To start making a record, you hit the white cross in the green circle, start typing the species name. If you're not sure what it is, or if you just want to make a record using a photo, instead tap the photo symbol, take a picture in the app using your camera, or choose one from your phone's gallery, and that will make a record without the species name. Here's one that I did, and you can see in red, species missing and no location name. And that's in red just to alert me to the fact that I need to add some more detail before I can actually upload it. These are all pending records, so they're sat on my phone, and that's where they'll stay until they're uploaded. So do remember to submit to upload your records. You can edit pending records within the app, so just tap on the relevant line and you can change the details. And if you did want to delete a record, such as this figure of 80 moth here, just swipe it to the left and hit the delete button that will then appear. You can add previous records using the app, so it's not just for on-the-day recording. And if you're part of an iRecord activity, you can use the activities button to the left of the green cross there to store your records within a certain activity. They all still go to the same place, but that activity can then access those records more easily and in one place. When you're choosing a species, you can filter the dictionary that is used to offer you the suggestions of what you're typing. So tap on the filter there, top right, and you can choose to use the common names or the scientific names only, or choose particular taxon groups. When you have closed that, you'll notice the filter button is now blue, and that's to alert me to the fact that I've got some filters selected and need to take those or change them next time I use the app. The scientific filter is good for recording Cotoneaster and invasive species in species, so that will only appear as a genus option in the scientific filter, which is really useful if you're not sure which of the many Cotoneaster species it is that you're recording. So that's a good use of the scientific filter. Some names within the app aren't the same as the ones that you possibly use. So Himalayan balsam and wild garlic are a couple of common ones, and they're in the app as Indian balsam and ramsons respectively. When you're recording amphibians, record the actual species if you can, so common frog rather than just frog. And then we'll get a species name rather than genus. Swifts will only give us genus, whereas if you use the singular swift, we'll get the species name, and then you can add an abundance or numbers you've seen in the comments section. Same with squirrel, use grey or red squirrel rather than just the genus squirrel. And we've seen the Cotoneaster using the scientific filter. Hazel will offer you these 2 options, so do choose the species option if that's what it is you're seeing rather than just the genus. And some common named species can actually be several different taxon groups because they all use the same common name. If you type butterbur, you'll get a moth and a plant, so just make sure you choose the right one. And same with horse chestnut, you'll either be able to select it as a moth, a scale insect, or a plant, and you can see those to the right of the name. So just check that you're submitting or choosing the right species and taxon group. The location tab, that is all sorted using your phone's GPS. The default screen is this satellite or photograph image. You can toggle to other ones using the pilot maps there on the top, and you might want to look at it in OpenStreetMap. You can use the plus and minus to scroll in and out to get a different accuracy or area for your record. You'll notice the Ordnance Survey one doesn't work anymore. That's due to the cost of that mapping, I think. There is a workaround. If you go minus, minus, minus 4 times, you'll get this screen. And then if you tap in 5 times, you'll get the OS map screen up to this resolution. And that only works if you're in the satellite photographic display. So choose the satellite mapping and then go out minus 4 times, in 5 times, and you'll be able to use the OS map to find your location. If you tap in 6 times on the plus, you go back to the satellite photographic mapping. You can lock in a location. So here you see River Brecon has got a blue padlock. I've tapped that padlock, turned blue, and all records from now on will have the same location name till I unlock it. I don't tend to lock in the grid reference, just because if you forget to unlock it, then all your records will be in the wrong place and you don't really have any clues to exactly where you've seen them. At least with the location name, you can tediously, I must say, but you can change that to the correct one if needs be. The teardrop symbol below the pile of maps there is a relocation, or if you're not happy with a grid reference, you can tap that and it will relocate to where you are now. And then the star symbol is where all your previously used record locations are stored if you wanted to choose one that you'd used before. And we'll have a look where these are stored in the menu. Do allow connectivity if you can. I'm sure it makes it more accurate with your location, and do allow your phone to, or the app within your phone, to access your GPS. And if you can, do that for all of the time rather than just when the app's open. And do check that the location is where you want it to be, because sometimes the GPS does take a bit of time to catch up with where you are when you're using the app. You can help get your record verified by adding a photo, which we've seen you can do from one you've already taken, or using the camera and making an in-app photo. Just make sure you tick or OK to choose the photo, or you can delete it and try again. Add some comments, they're really useful, especially with mammals, whether it's alive or dead, and birds, for example, what the flight behaviour was. If someone's helped you to identify it, you can add their name in the identifiers area at the bottom of the list there. I've added Andrew King, he's the county bird recorder for Breconshire. Tap on that and type their name in. Just remember to use the plus symbol to add it, otherwise it won't save the name, and when you go back you'll actually lose that name that you thought you'd added but you hadn't. You need to press the green plus. Some records will only be accepted if there is a photo. Hollyleaf miner or hollyleaf gallfly is one of those, so do add a record of that species. And records that are verified are more valuable because they're considered correct, so we know that they're accurate because they've been checked. Here's some menu items. So on the home screen, bottom right, to the right of the green plus is the menu. And this is where you can log out of the app if you want to. Just a word of warning, when you do go to log out, you'll be given this screen. And I'd say untick the discard local data button if you don't want to lose all your app records, and that's pending and uploaded records. It will delete all those when you log out, so just untick that to stop that happening. The menu is where you can log back in and register when you first get the app. And the third one down is the app settings. If you tap this, you can go and submit all your records in one go rather than individually. Do check their accuracy, especially the location though. The remove all saved button removes all your uploaded records. If you want to clear some space in your phone's memory, for example, it won't actually delete the pending. so the uploaded ones are all saved with us, so that's fine to delete those. The manage saved is where all your previously used locations are stored. Get to those using that star symbol within the location of the mapping area. You can delete them all if you want from this setting here in the menu, app settings, location area. You can choose your language, maybe you want to record in Welsh or English. And to the bottom right there, you'll see a V number. That's the version number of the app you're using, which is useful to let us know that if you're reporting a problem to us, for example, it's useful to know which version of the app that you're using. Some other things of interest within the app, or when using the app, is you do lose time when you're making records. So you're out on a walk with a group, you stop and you make a record, add a photo, etc., and you'll find that your mates are 50 meters ahead of you. So you need to bear that in mind. And also you think, right, I'll try and keep up. And then you're lurking, using your phone and walking at the same time. And just be careful when you're doing that, because maybe you'll discover low-hanging branches that you don't see, and you're more likely to trip and fall, for example. Do chat about your wildlife sightings, because it does yield records. I led an ancient tree inventory walk recently, and I was chatting about wildlife and reptile sightings from years ago, and I managed to get 3 people to tell me that they'd seen adders and grass snakes in that area recently. So I managed to get some good recent reptile records, which is great because they're a group that we don't normally get very many sightings and records of. So it's good to get recent records just so we can get an idea of where species are now rather than say 5-10 years ago. If you're competitive and you go into BIS Wired, you can see a league table for people who are using the app, and you can order them in the number of species they've recorded, different species, or the number of total records they've made, and you can see there that who's made the most records. Quite interesting to have a look, some familiar names there maybe. And that's in BIS Wired, which is our online recording database, and that's where you can add your wildlife sightings online using laptop or computer rather than on a smartphone. You do this on the home page and tap the record tab, and then you can enter a single record. It's a casual record, or if you've got a list of wildlife sightings that are all in the same place, the same grid reference, then you can use the list of records. So enter a list of records. They'll all be recorded at the same place. You can also explore your own records and what other people have been recording as well. So in the Explore My Records option, you can see a list of all the records. So it's a good storage place. If you've linked your Wired to the app, you'll see all your app and Wired records in one place. And this is where you can edit them as well. And the Explore All Records is where you can see what other people have been recording as well. So just have a look through there if you're interested to see what's been recorded more recently. In Explore My Records, that's where you can edit your record. So when you go in there, you'll see all your records listed like this. And over on the right there, you'll notice a pen and pencil. And that's where you can edit the records. You tap on that and then you can change the details within BIS Wired. And see, this is my hollyleaf cawfly record with a photo, and on the left, very left, there's 2 ticks, which means that that's been verified and it's now considered correct. Just a word of warning, when you are editing a record within the BIS Wired website, when you go to submit it, having changed the detail, you do need to re-click on the map to get the location to change to a grid reference, because within the app it's actually recording the location as a easting and northing, I think, or longitude and latitude, which BISWire doesn't recognize. So you'll find it won't submit, and you just need to check on the map to locate where it actually is. I think it's a circle, and then when you click on it, it'll change to a square. So just a little tip there. And that's actually covered in a video that you can see a link to at the bottom of the page. As I say, you can link the app, both LERC Wales and iRecord, to BizWired by registering for both with the same email address. But you do need to register, need to log into Wired and the apps with different logins. And when you're logging into Wired, you're using your username and not the email address. So just a couple of things to mention there. And of course, it's where you see the league tables that we looked at. And also, if any verifier experts that have seen your record and got a question, you can see that in Explore My Notifications and make a reply to them if they want to ask you some more information or something. I'd say the link there in blue is on our YouTube channel, Biodiversity Information Service YouTube channel. And I've got a 20-minute video there all about BizWired. So that's a good place to look and watch that if you're wanting to record using BizWired. And a few more hints and tips on how to use the site and also how to edit records and things like that. So that's a brief summary of Wired and go into more detail on the video. So now it's your chance to ask me any questions and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. So we've got a few minutes left before the breakout room is closed. So I'm just going to stop my screen share and we'll see what questions there are.